Wow, this is Kip Winger. Here we are.
Here we are indeed, Kip. How are you, mate? Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
My absolute pleasure. So we're here to speak about the fact that for the first and last time ever, the original lineup of Winger is coming to Australia for a run of dates, starting in Melbourne on April the 4th, then hitting Sydney, Adelaide, and Brisbane before finishing in Perth on April the 10th. So I guess the most obvious question is, why have you ignored us for so long, mate? What's going on?
That's funny. Well, we were going to come there, and scheduling circumstances had me, needing to attend some performances in Berlin that were very, very important to me. But I promised we were coming back, and so here we are. And five shows that I'm happy to do, and we're very excited about coming. And we've got all original members, including John Roth. So it's actually going to be better than it would have been before because I don't think John Roth was able to come. So this is the best lineup of the band that anybody who's ever interested in seeing us will have a chance to do.
Very good. Now, just to clarify, mate, like they're advertising it as your first and last tour of Australia, but is it your last tour just because the band is calling it a day soon, or is it just your last tour because you know you won't be back here again?
A little bit of both. I mean, I'm moving on to my classical career for the most part, and I haven't picked an actual day to play our last show, but we've been kind of going around the world saying, "Hey, this is the last time we're going to be in this part of the world. So if you want to come see us, do it now."
And of course, you've been here before performing solo, but what extra does it mean to you personally to be able to come out with the band that sort of started it all for you, pretty much?
Well, I mean, the band's got a huge legacy, and we had the fact that it's very rare that a band like us would be all original members, right? I mean, there's a few bands out there that are still close to all original members, like Tesla or Night Rangers, close. Um, U2 maybe, the only. I mean, I don't. It's rare, and we all really enjoy playing with each other on stage, and so that from that point of view, it's great. And when we played Australia, we did a tour with Rat. I think it was 2014, and that was just spectacular. I mean, the fans are awesome, and I've always wanted to come back with the band.
Mm. Now, Winger's played all over the world, mate, but do you have pretty much the same basic set list everywhere you go, or do you drastically change it for different countries, sort of based on what songs work there or not?
No, we listen. We had a lot of hits, so we have to play the hits, and you only get a certain amount of time. Play for an hour and a half or whatever. So I'll pick different cuts to play different nights. So the set list is a little different every night. But for the most part, I mean, we have to play like 10 of our hits, and then fill it in with different songs from. I like to play some of the newer stuff, and I like to read some comments and see what people are hoping that we're going to play and see if we can work it in.
Mhm. So run us through a typical Winger live show, mate. Like you the sort of guys that just sort of stand and deliver the traditional way to play, or do you have all the fancy gimmicks like people got these days?
Oh God, no. We're a total traditional meat and potatoes, no backing tracks, no nothing. We're like completely organic 70s rock band.
Nice. Good to hear, brother. And have you got any special surprises in store for Australian audiences to make up for neglecting us for 40 years?
Well, we were there in 2014, but
For the
no, no,
original
man.
lineup.
Yeah, right. No, no, man. We're just coming down because we want to be there. Like I said, I really dug the fans from 2014 and my acoustic tour. It wasn't a huge tour, but we really had a good time doing it. And the music, people that the fans really get what they're listening to. It's really I it's hard, some places you play and they're just going yeah for no reason. Like the Australian audience really understood what we were doing. So I've wanted to come back for a long time, and I'm happy to be able to do it with this lineup, you know.
Yeah. So go back to the start of it all, bro, since this is the last time we're going to see it. So you formed Winger in New York City back in 1987. So what was the musical climate like that gave birth to the band back then? Where did you fit in initially?
Well, it was right when Quiet Riot first hit with the when the kind of ushering back in the quote metal thing. Um, so it was like, Quiet Riot, then Rat, and um, then Bon Jovi, and Def Leppard was kind of going along all along, but so it was really like the tidal wave of the '80s bands. MTV was in its height and playing rock music. That's when MTV was a rock station. And so I feel really lucky to be in on that whole era because it was pre-internet, all analog. You know, you couldn't fix your vocals. There was no auto tune. None of that stuff was going on. So that was a great time to cut your teeth, and it was kind of. I mean, I hate to say it, but there was kind of a certain golden age about that period of time when that type of music was really becoming huge. And I got to ride that wave twice. I did it with Alice Cooper coming back and then with my band. So, I've had a really lucky career.
Yeah. And your debut self-titled album was a huge success off the back of the singles 17, Headed for Heartbreak, and Madalaine. So when you were writing and recording those songs, like was there a sense or a feeling that there could be something special because of that music, or were you just taken by surprise when it came?
Well, I mean, look, I've been writing songs since I was 12 years old, so I was on a mission. So when Reb and I got together, there was no doubt that there was a special chemistry there, and it was very clear to me, like if I had a shot, it was going to be with Reb, you know. And so I think Madalaine was one of the first songs we wrote, and when we wrote that song, I was thinking, okay, this is a cool sound, this could actually go somewhere. And then when I wrote Headed for a Heartbreak and he played that solo on it, I thought, wow, we really got something here. And I was hopeful, but I mean, you never know. I remember when our record first came out and we sold 15,000 albums. And the producer, Bo Hill, he called me, he was like, well, we've sold 15,000 albums. And he was thinking it wasn't very good. And I was like, holy shit, we sold 15,000 albums? What's ironic is nowadays, if you sold 15,000, that'd be
Oh, yeah.
amazing. But, you know, it took a while. And then when MTV picked it up, we were selling 30,000 albums a week.
Jesus.
So, like I say, it was a really cool time to ride the wave, man.
Yeah. You released a follow-up in the Heart of the Young less than 2 years later. So was that to capitalize on the strong response to your debut album, or were your creative juices just flowing because you were young and you wanted to get new stuff out there?
Well, I mean, you're on a roll. I mean, that's what you did. That was you do an album, and if it's a hit, you have a chance to do another one. If it hadn't sold, we would have been dropped, and you would have never heard us again.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, we were on a roll, and we were very inspired, and we wanted to go out and make it happen again. So, um, ironically, that's the one album that there's some things I would do differently. Definitely remix that album. And I might still do that someday, but by the time the third album came around is when we really defined our identity, and even by today's standard, it sold well. It went gold, but that was considered a flop
That's
back then.
strange, isn't
Yeah, yeah.
it? Oh, the band disbanded in 1994, mate, and then the general consensus is that was because of the grunge movement sort of taking over the rock scene. Like, was it that bad back then? Like, was grunge really killing rock and roll?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. It was over like that. It
Wow.
was over overnight. When Smells Like Teen Spirit came out, MTV dropped all the 80s bands, and MTV was really the big promotion tool, you know. And then you had Beavis and Butthead and all that stuff, which didn't help at all. And they were lifting all the grunge bands up and talking trash about all the bands like us. So it was over in a second. It was like you're playing an arena, you're playing a club, like within a
Wow.
6 month period.
Wow.
Uh, for me, it was like, listen, before my band ever started, I played not thousands, but hundreds of clubs. I was very comfortable in a club, So for me, it was just like, okay, well, it was a bummer, but I mean, it wasn't like anything I was unfamiliar with. And I never was like, hey, I'm a rock star. We need to, what happened? I mean, I was just like, okay, well, I was all about the music. So I just kept my head down and kept writing music. When the band disbanded, I did 3 solo records, redefined my music, started studying classical, learned how to do that. Then we got an opportunity to go out with Poison in 2002, went back out on the road to do that while we all kept doing our own thing, and it kind of grew back very organically from there, We did a tour of Europe in 2006, and then we came Japan and Australia in 2014, and it was just kind of rolling back up to where now, I mean, I have to tell my agent to stop sending me offers because I mean the gig offers now, it's just very abundant and it's all come back, which is kind of ironic that I'm pushing it away because I want to go in a different direction artistically.
Mm.
Um, that's just my own personal journey. That's way more exciting to me because I feel like I've written every single kind of rock song possible, and I want to challenge myself to do something better.
You talk about the different direction musically. Could you elaborate on that?
Well, I don't know if you've ever heard any of my classical music. There's an album online now called Conversations with Nijinsky. There's 3 of my pieces on there. I'm making an album with Nashville Symphony right now with my first symphony and a violin concerto. And I've leaned in hard on orchestral music and, focusing on that. And I wrote a musical in 2015 that really was released in 2018. It's 2 hours of music, full on Broadway singers, Um, and I'm just more interested in doing these bigger works with other singers and, um, you know, orchestral players, where it's a much bigger genre of music.
Oh, very nice. Now, before we let you go, Kip, I've started a new segment called Photo Bombs. So basically, before I talk to you, I troll through your social media and I come up with photos I want to know a little bit more about. So for you, okay, we'll start with this one. What's going on here? There's a lot of yelling for one photo.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's when we're cutting the vocals to "Blind Revolution Mad" on Pull album. I think literally we're singing the word "mad" right there.
That's it. It looks pretty intense.
That's one more blind revolution mad.
That's where it is. That's the one. God, if there's a lot of anger in that last photo, mate, there's a lot of potential for trouble in this one.
Oh, that's hysterical. So that was recently in England. We did opening up for Steel Panther in England, and yeah, that was a fun tour, man. Those guys are funny as shit.
They are. How'd you go with them though? Like, were they like, because they're the sort of the newer age bad boys, and you've been around for a long time. So like, were they looking up to you, or were you sort of spitting
I
out on
think
them?
well, I don't know about looking at. They have a lot of respect for us, and and they were awesome to be around. But yeah, I think, I think there was a mutual respect, but they definitely were, watching from the side of the stage and stuff.
How different's their real life persona to what you get with the band?
Steel Panther,
Yeah. And like, are they different off stage, or are they still like as crazy as what they are on stage?
they're funny, man. They're all really funny. So yeah, they're funny on stage and they're funny off stage. Um, Michael Starr is somewhat pensive off stage, I would say. Much more chill. Um, but they're all really funny, so it's not that different.
Fantastic, Kip. Well, thanks very much for your time, bro. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. The tour kicks off on April the 4th. I'll be at the Brisbane show, mate. So until then, you take care and don't drink much sake.
Yeah, nice to see you again, man. I'll see you soon.